afford to get your nails done, new tattoos, fake lashes, taking vacations, all that stuff. If you can't afford that, you can afford to buy your own groceries.
That line about lashes and nails, it's coded racism. For more on that, let's go to the research. I'm Dr. Shauna, a PhD who does hot takes with citations, and this is part 4 of our 5-part series on why we blame the poor. Today, we're talking about racialized stereotype. When I say coded racism, I'm talking about messages that use racially loaded cues without saying anything about race specifically. These cues are often used to trigger resentment and shame when we're talking about welfare because of the historical context in this country. When we use the words lashes, nails, and luxury, we are giving a racial message. Those words carry a racial message whether or not someone intends to. That's the impact that they have. Now, for those messages in coded racism to have meaning, there has to be a context. And for that, we have to talk about the welfare queen. A couple of folks have mentioned this in the comment sections of the other parts of this series, and I think it's very important that we talk about it. The image of the welfare queen comes from the late 1970s and 80s, and from the one and only Ronald Reagan. The welfare queen is a caricature of a Black woman supposedly gaming the system and living large on government assistance and welfare benefits. Decades of journalistic and historical records show the ways that Reagan used this term purposefully. He leveraged a distorted story about a real person, Linda Taylor.
Have you heard of the welfare queen? Basically, it was a nickname given from the Chicago Tribune after a woman named Linda Taylor who committed welfare fraud, buying clothes, cars, jewelry, and other things off of money given to her from welfare. Reagan used this story and the term welfare queen to create a caricature of people on welfare, and in turn, this really dirtied up the image of the aid that welfare gives. I found out that now it's a derogatory term to describe people on welfare, but especially Black women. 4 out of 11 single-parent households are headed by single mothers, and these ideas have demonized women who are simply trying to provide for their families with all they have.
In order to sell a broader moral tale that racialized poverty as Black, female, and fraudulent. He then used that rhetoric to justify punitive welfare policy. Sociologist Patricia Hill Collins calls figures like the welfare queen controlling images, and these images are spread through pop culture, through the media, in order to dictate how we see marginalized groups. This stereotype, this caricature of the welfare queen, is used to make inequality look deserved by portraying Black women as deviant or irresponsible. Scholar Kimberly Crenshaw argues that policy debates often treat Black women's poverty as a moral pathology, failing to match a white middle-class ideal of womanhood. That's why talk of lashes and nails and new bags and new cars is never neutral, because ultimately it signals who must perform humility in order to deserve help. Now, to really understand this, we also have to talk about respectability politics, or the politics of respectability. And that phrase comes from historian Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham. Respectability politics describes the moral standards placed on Black women, standards that are weaponized to police appearance, sexuality, and consumption. Writer-scholar Tracy McMillan Cottom argues that beauty works like social capital with different rules and returns for Black women, which is another reason their adornment is scrutinized as evidence of morality. You can tell a lot about a society by who it thinks deserves joy. Black women's joy has historically been treated as evidence of guilt. Follow for more hot takes with citations, and stay tuned for part 5 in this series.